Every single day, you are given a chance to become better than yesterday. Imagine how powerful your life would be if you committed just a few minutes daily to improving the most important skill in the modern world, speaking English with confidence. The truth is, confidence in speaking does not come overnight. It is built in the small daily moments when you decide to practice, even if you make mistakes, even if you feel shy, even if your voice shakes. Think about it. When a child learns to speak their first words, they don't worry about grammar, they don't fear being judged, they just try. And slowly, with practice, their voice grows stronger. That's the same journey you are on right now. Every time you open your mouth and speak in English, you are training your brain, your tongue, and your confidence. The biggest mistake people make is waiting for the perfect moment to start. They tell themselves, I'll practice when I'm ready, when I have time, when I feel confident. But that day never comes. Confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you build through action. The more you practice conversations daily, the more natural English becomes for you. Yes, at first it feels uncomfortable. You might pause too much, search for words, or even feel embarrassed. But isn't that how growth always feels? You are not supposed to be perfect today. You are supposed to be brave today. Because bravery leads to progress, and progress builds mastery. Picture your future self, speaking fluently, expressing ideas without hesitation, inspiring others with your words. That version of you is waiting on the other side of consistent daily practice. Each conversation you have today is a step toward that stronger, more confident version of yourself. Don't underestimate the power of small daily habits. 10 minutes of speaking every day may seem simple, but over weeks and months, it transforms you completely. The hesitation you feel now will be replaced by flow. The fear you carry will be replaced by freedom, and the silence you hide behind will be replaced by powerful words. So promise yourself today, I will not wait for confidence. I will create it. I will not wait for perfection. I will grow through practice. I will speak daily. I will stumble. I will learn, and I will rise. Because the voice you are building today has the power to change your life tomorrow. Keep speaking. Keep practicing. Keep believing. Your fluency is not far away. It's being built every single day you choose to try. Confidence is something everyone desires, but very few truly understand how it is created. Most people think they need to wait until they feel confident before they take action, before they start speaking, before they try something new. But the truth is the complete opposite. Confidence is not something you wait for. It is something you build step by step, day by day, through repeated action. Waiting for confidence is like waiting for the perfect weather to plant seeds. If you keep waiting, you'll miss the season of growth. Confidence is not the starting point. It is the result of consistent effort. Think about when you first learned how to ride a bicycle. You didn't wait to feel confident before sitting on the bike. You got on, you stumbled, you fell, maybe you scraped your knees, but you kept trying. And each time you tried, your body learned balance, your hands learned control, your mind learned trust. Slowly, confidence appeared, not because you waited for it, but because you acted without it. The same principle applies to learning English speaking or any new skill. Confidence is built by showing up and practicing, even when you feel nervous, even when you doubt yourself, even when you think you are not ready. Many learners hold themselves back with the belief that, I will start speaking when I feel confident. This mindset is a trap. If you never start, you will never build the confidence you are waiting for. The very act of speaking, making mistakes, and correcting yourself is what produces confidence. It doesn't matter how many grammar rules you memorize or how many words you know. If you never open your mouth to practice, you will always feel stuck. Confidence grows when you use the knowledge you already have, no matter how small it may be. Think about children once again. A child does not wait for confidence before speaking their first words. They don't care about grammar, they don't fear being judged, they don't worry about sounding silly, they just try. And with every attempt, their language improves, their words become clearer, and their confidence strengthens naturally. Adults, however, often hold themselves back because of fear of mistakes, fear of judgment, fear of imperfection. But here's the reality. Those fears are only walls you've built in your mind. Once you take the first step and start speaking daily, those walls begin to fall, and confidence begins to rise. Confidence is not about being flawless. It's about being brave enough to take action even when you feel unsure. If you look at confident speakers, you'll notice they are not perfect. They still pause, they still think, they still make mistakes sometimes. What makes them appear confident is not perfection, but their willingness to keep speaking despite imperfection. They have trained themselves to take action, to practice, to express, and that repeated action is what built their confidence. Imagine you want to cross a river, but you are waiting for the water to stop flowing. You will wait forever because rivers never stop. The only way across is to step into the water, one step at a time, learning how to balance, learning how to move forward. Confidence works the same way. If you keep waiting for the fear to disappear, you will stand on the shore forever. But the moment you decide to step in, you start learning, and that learning creates the confidence you've been searching for. Every great speaker you admire today started without confidence. They had shaky voices, limited vocabulary, and fear in their hearts. What made the difference was not some magical moment of courage. It was the decision to practice daily, to push past fear, to show up again and again until confidence naturally grew. The people you look up to are not special. They are simply consistent. They refused to wait for confidence, and instead, they built it brick by brick through daily effort. This is why daily practice is so powerful. Every time you speak, you are laying another brick in the wall of your confidence. At first, it feels like nothing is happening. You may still feel nervous. You may still hesitate. You may still doubt yourself. But slowly, without even realizing it, you are creating a strong foundation. One day you'll look back and realize that the fear that once held you back has become so much smaller, and the confidence that once felt impossible now feels natural. That transformation happens only when you decide to take action instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Confidence is built in the moments when you choose courage over comfort. It is built when you raise your hand in class even though your answer may not be perfect. It is built when you introduce yourself in English even though you feel nervous. It is built when you practice speaking daily, not worrying about mistakes but focusing on growth. Confidence is not waiting for you somewhere in the future. It is being shaped right now in every small action you take today. Perfection is one of the greatest illusions that holds people back from achieving their goals. So many learners of English stop themselves from speaking because they are afraid of making mistakes, afraid of mispronouncing words, afraid of not sounding perfect. But here's the truth: perfection is not the goal. Progress is. And progress only comes through practice. If you chase perfection before you even start, you will never begin. But if you focus on progress, every mistake becomes a teacher, every attempt becomes a step forward, and every day you practice brings you closer to fluency. When you were a child learning your first language, did you speak perfectly? Of course not. You mispronounced words, you mixed up grammar, you struggled to express yourself, and yet no one stopped you. No one said, "Don't speak until you're perfect." You kept practicing, you kept speaking, and slowly you became fluent. That exact same principle applies when learning English. But as adults, we often forget this. We hold ourselves to an impossible standard and think, "I should only speak when I am correct." This mindset kills growth. The truth is, without mistakes, there can be no learning. Perfection blocks you, but practice frees you. Think of progress like climbing a staircase. Each step may be small, but each one matters. If you refuse to climb because you can't leap to the top in one jump, you'll stay stuck at the bottom forever. Speaking English is just like climbing those stairs. Every sentence you speak, no matter how broken it sounds, is a step higher. Every time you push yourself to have a conversation, you are climbing further. Waiting to be perfect before you start is like standing at the bottom of the staircase, staring up and never moving. The most successful people in any field understand this. Athletes don't wait to be perfect before they start training. Musicians don't wait to be perfect before they start playing. Writers don't wait to be perfect before they start writing. They know that progress comes from practice, from repetition, from showing up even when the results are not flawless. The same is true for learning English. If you want to become fluent, you must be willing to practice without the expectation of perfection. That practice, with all its flaws and imperfections, is what creates true growth. The fear of imperfection often comes from worrying about what others will think. You might hesitate, wondering, what if I say it wrong? What if they laugh? What if they judge me? But ask yourself this: how can you ever improve if you don't try? Those who might laugh are not the ones building your future. The real strength lies in continuing despite judgment, in practicing despite fear, and in choosing growth over approval. In the end, it is not other people's opinions that matter, but your own progress and confidence. Every mistake you make in practice is proof that you are learning. Think about this. A mistake is not failure, it is feedback. When you pronounce a word incorrectly and then correct it, that correction sticks in your memory far more deeply than if you had simply memorized it from a book. When you use the wrong word in a sentence and someone helps you with the right one, you will never forget it again. Mistakes are not signs of weakness, they are signs of effort. They are evidence that you are pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone. Perfection, on the other hand, keeps you trapped. It convinces you to stay silent until you're ready, but that readiness never comes. You cannot read your way to fluency. You cannot listen your way to confidence. Speaking is the only path, and speaking means practicing, and practicing means making mistakes. Each error is a stepping stone. Each attempt builds muscle memory in your brain. Each day you speak, even imperfectly, your fluency grows stronger. Imagine two people. One spends years waiting to be perfect, studying books and grammar rules, but never speaking. The other speaks daily, makes mistakes, learns, and moves forward. After 1 year, who do you think will be more fluent? The answer is obvious, the one who practiced. Progress beats perfection every single time, because progress is alive, it is moving, it is growing. Perfection is static, frozen, lifeless. If you aim for perfection, you get nothing. If you aim for progress, you get everything. When you let go of perfection, you allow yourself the freedom to grow. You allow yourself to try, to stumble, to get back up, and to keep going. That freedom is where real improvement happens. Fluency is not built in silence. It is built in conversation. It is built in the daily practice of speaking, listening, and learning. And the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Slowly, without realizing it, the mistakes grow fewer, the hesitation grows smaller, and your confidence grows stronger. So don't wait for perfection. Don't silence yourself out of fear of mistakes. Speak, practice, try again, and keep moving forward. Because progress is not about being flawless. It is about being better today than you were yesterday. And that progress is the only path that will carry you to fluency. Fluency is not something that suddenly appears one day like magic. It is not a gift that some people are born with while others are left without. Fluency is the result of daily conversations, small consistent efforts that build up over time until speaking feels as natural as breathing. You cannot expect to become fluent by only reading grammar books, watching movies, or memorizing vocabulary lists. These activities can help, but fluency lives in the practice of real conversations. The more you speak daily, the more your tongue adapts, the more your brain connects ideas, and the more confident you become in expressing yourself. Think of fluency as a muscle. Just as your body grows stronger when you exercise regularly, your ability to speak English grows stronger when you practice conversations every single day. If you go to the gym once a month, you won't see results. If you only speak English once in a while, you will always struggle. But if you make it part of your daily routine, even for a few minutes, you will see incredible progress. Every conversation you have is like a workout for your mind, sharpening your skills, building your memory, and giving you the fluency you desire. The beauty of daily conversations is that they train you in ways textbooks never can. Textbooks can teach you rules, but conversations teach you rhythm. They teach you how to think in English, how to listen and respond naturally, how to express emotions and ideas in real time. Fluency is not about knowing every word in the dictionary. It is about being able to use the words you know without hesitation. And that ability only comes when you put yourself into situations where you must speak daily. Many learners underestimate the power of small daily practice. They think, if I cannot spend hours practicing, it won't matter. But that is not true. Even 10 minutes of speaking daily can change everything. Those 10 minutes add up. Over a week, it becomes more than an hour. Over a month, it becomes several hours. Over a year, it becomes a life-changing amount of practice. Each short conversation you have is like a drop of water. And over time, those drops create an ocean of fluency. Imagine someone who practices speaking English once a week compared to someone who practices every day. The difference between them after 6 months is dramatic. The weekly learner will still hesitate, still struggle to form sentences, still feel uncomfortable. The daily learner, on the other hand, will feel the words flow more naturally, will react faster, will speak with more confidence. Why? Because daily practice keeps your mind engaged, keeps the language alive in your brain, and keeps you moving forward. Fluency is not about occasional effort, it is about consistency. Daily conversations also train you to think in English. One of the biggest challenges learners face is the habit of translating from their native language. This slows them down and makes speaking harder, but when you speak daily, your brain begins to create direct pathways. You no longer think in your language first and then translate. You begin to think in English automatically. That shift is the true foundation of fluency, and it can only happen through regular practice. Another benefit of daily practice is overcoming fear. Many people feel nervous about speaking English, afraid of making mistakes or being judged. But the more you practice, the less that fear controls you. Each conversation builds a little more courage. Each day you speak, the fear becomes smaller, and your confidence becomes stronger. Fear loses its power when you face it daily. Speaking once in a while keeps fear alive, but speaking every day destroys it. Fluency is also about flow. Flow means being able to speak without constantly stopping, without overthinking, without freezing. That flow only develops when you practice conversations often enough that your brain learns to trust itself. Daily speaking teaches your mind to let go of hesitation and move forward naturally. The pauses grow shorter, the words come faster, and soon you find yourself surprised at how easily you can express your thoughts. Consider how you became fluent in your first language. You didn't learn it by studying rules once a week. You learned it because you were surrounded by daily conversations. You heard, you repeated, you practiced, and slowly fluency became natural. The same principle applies here. If you surround yourself with English daily, if you make conversations a habit, your fluency will grow the same way. It's not about talent, it's about exposure and practice. Daily conversations also bring variety. One day you may practice greetings, another day you may practice describing your feelings, another day you may discuss your dreams or opinions. Each conversation teaches you something new, adds more words to your vocabulary, and gives you more confidence in different situations. Over time, your speaking becomes flexible. You are no longer stuck in memorized phrases. You can adapt, create, and respond to anything. This is why fluency is not built in a day or a week, but it is guaranteed through daily effort. Small steps every day beat big efforts once in a while. You don't need perfect grammar to start. You don't need thousands of words to begin. You don't need hours of free time. All you need is the commitment to speak daily, even if it's just for a short while. That simple habit, repeated consistently, has the power to turn hesitation into fluency, fear into confidence, and silence into powerful expression. Bravery is often misunderstood. Many people think bravery means being fearless, but that is not true. Bravery means feeling fear, feeling doubt, and still choosing to move forward. It means deciding to act even when your voice shakes, even when your heart beats fast, even when your mind tells you that you are not ready. Bravery is not about waiting until fear disappears. It is about facing that fear head on, knowing that every step you take today is shaping the person you will become tomorrow. When it comes to speaking English, bravery is one of the most important qualities you can develop. Every time you open your mouth to speak, you are taking a risk. You risk making mistakes. You risk not being understood. You risk being judged. But that risk is the exact place where growth happens. If you stay silent, if you avoid speaking because of fear, you may feel safe for a moment, but you are robbing yourself of the chance to improve. Bravery means breaking that silence and choosing to try, no matter how imperfect it sounds. And the more you practice bravery today, the closer you move to mastery tomorrow. Think of bravery as planting seeds. Each brave moment you have, whether it's starting a conversation, asking a question, or giving an answer, plants a seed in the soil of your future fluency. At first, those seeds seem small, invisible, almost meaningless, but over time, they begin to grow. With every act of courage, your confidence grows, your vocabulary grows, your fluency grows. Mastery does not come from comfort, it comes from bravery. Every time you choose courage over fear, you are building the foundation for the mastery you will enjoy in the future. Many learners wait for the right time to be brave. They think, I'll speak when I'm more prepared, when my grammar is perfect, when my vocabulary is bigger. But that day never comes, because preparation without action is endless. The truth is, bravery comes first, and mastery follows. You cannot master speaking without first daring to speak, just like you cannot learn to swim without stepping into the water. If you wait for mastery before practicing bravery, you will wait forever. But if you practice bravery today, even in small ways, mastery becomes inevitable. Bravery is also about embracing mistakes. When you speak English and make errors, it might feel embarrassing at first, but that moment of embarrassment is temporary, while the lesson you learn is permanent. Every mistake you make while being brave becomes a stepping stone toward mastery. Without mistakes, there is no learning. Without bravery, there are no mistakes. And without mistakes, there is no growth. So instead of fearing mistakes, embrace them as proof that you had the courage to try. Imagine standing on a stage in front of an audience. At first, your hands shake, your throat feels dry, your words stumble. That is fear. But if you choose bravery and continue speaking, something magical happens. Your body begins to calm, your voice becomes steadier, and your words flow more naturally. Over time, with repeated bravery, the stage that once terrified you becomes a place where you feel at home. This is how mastery is born, through repeated acts of courage in the face of fear. In your English learning journey, bravery can be as simple as introducing yourself in English, ordering food in English, or asking someone for directions. These moments may feel small, but they are not. They are the exact experiences that prepare you for bigger challenges in the future, like giving a presentation, leading a meeting, or expressing your thoughts clearly in front of others. Bravery compounds over time. The small risks you take today prepare you for the bigger victories tomorrow. Bravery also means refusing to be paralyzed by judgment. People might correct you, they might laugh, they might misunderstand you. But remember this, those who laugh are not the ones working on your future. They are not the ones who will live your life. You are. And every time you choose to speak despite judgment, you prove to yourself that your growth matters more than anyone's opinion. Mastery belongs to those who care more about progress than about perfection in the eyes of others. Another truth about bravery is that it creates resilience. The more you practice bravery, the stronger you become. At first, speaking English might feel like climbing a steep mountain, but each brave attempt makes you stronger, and what once felt impossible begins to feel easier. Over time, you stop fearing the climb, and you start enjoying the view from higher and higher places. That strength, that resilience, comes only from choosing bravery again and again. Think about the people you admire. Great speakers, leaders, or teachers. They were not born with mastery. They were once where you are now, nervous, uncertain, afraid of failure. But what set them apart was their willingness to be brave when it mattered most. They dared to speak when others stayed silent. They dared to try when others hesitated. And because of that bravery, they built the mastery that now inspires the world. So remember, bravery today is not about being perfect. It is about showing up, trying, and choosing courage in the face of fear. It is about speaking even when your voice shakes. It is about practicing even when you feel nervous. Because tomorrow's mastery is built on today's bravery. The more often you choose to be brave now, the sooner you will become the fluent, confident speaker you dream of being. Hesitation is something almost every learner faces when trying to speak English. You know the words in your mind, you understand the grammar, you have the knowledge, but when the moment comes to speak, you pause, you stumble, you second-guess yourself. That hesitation feels like a heavy wall standing between you and fluency. But the good news is, hesitation is not permanent. It is not a sign that you are incapable. It is simply a sign that your brain and your tongue are not yet in full harmony. And the key to breaking this wall of hesitation is consistency. Only through consistent daily practice does hesitation slowly fade away and transform into flow. Flow is that state where words come naturally, where you don't overthink, where sentences roll off your tongue with ease. It is the exact opposite of hesitation. But flow is not achieved by accident. It is built like a habit. Every time you practice consistently, you teach your brain to trust itself, to recall words faster, to connect ideas without stopping. Slowly, the pauses grow shorter, the doubts become smaller, and the hesitation that once felt so strong begins to disappear. Consistency is powerful because it rewires your brain. Imagine you are walking through a forest where there is no path. The first time you walk, it is difficult. You push through bushes, step over stones, and it feels uncomfortable. But the more often you walk the same route, the clearer the path becomes. Eventually, it turns into a smooth trail you can walk easily without thinking. This is exactly what happens when you practice speaking English daily. The first attempts feel rough, slow, and full of hesitation. But consistency clears the path, creating smooth connections in your brain, until speaking feels natural and effortless. Many learners make the mistake of practicing only once in a while. They study hard for a day or two, then stop for a week, then start again. This stop and start approach always keeps you in the cycle of hesitation. Each time you pause for too long, you lose momentum and you have to start over. Consistency is the opposite of this. Even if you practice for a short time each day, the continuity keeps your progress alive. It keeps your brain active, your tongue flexible, and your confidence growing. Think of learning like watering a plant. If you water it once a month but pour a whole bucket of water, the plant will not survive. It needs small, regular amounts of water daily to grow strong and healthy. The same is true for fluency. Speaking for hours once in a while cannot replace the power of short, daily conversations. Consistency is what keeps your skills alive, what nourishes your growth, and what transforms hesitation into flow. Another reason consistency matters is because it reduces fear. The more you practice daily, the more familiar speaking becomes. Fear lives in the unknown, but consistency makes speaking familiar, comfortable, and normal. At first, every conversation feels like a test, but after weeks of consistent practice, it becomes routine. You no longer panic, you no longer freeze, you just speak. That natural flow is born not from talent, but from repeated exposure. Hesitation often comes from overthinking. You try to translate every word, you worry about grammar, you analyze every sentence in your head before speaking. This slows you down and makes speaking harder. But consistency trains you to think directly in English. When you practice daily, your brain starts skipping the translation step. Words come faster, ideas flow more smoothly, and your focus shifts from, "Is this correct?" to, "How can I express myself?" That shift only happens through repetition, and repetition requires consistency. Consistency also teaches patience. At first, you might not see big results. You may feel like you are still hesitating, still struggling, but what you don't notice is that every day you practice, you are getting a little faster, a little clearer, a little more confident. It's like watching a child grow. You don't see the change every day, but over months, the difference is undeniable. One day, you will realize that the hesitation that once stopped you has quietly transformed into flow, and it will feel natural. That transformation is the reward of consistency. Consider athletes once again. A runner does not gain speed by running only once a week. They train every day, sometimes for short distances, sometimes for longer ones. Each day's practice builds endurance, builds strength, builds confidence. Over time, their body learns the rhythm, the flow, and running becomes second nature. Speaking English is no different. Daily practice builds that rhythm, that fluency, until speaking feels as natural as running for a trained athlete. Consistency also protects you from giving up. When you practice only sometimes, it's easy to lose motivation. You feel like you're not improving, and you start doubting yourself. But when you practice daily, you see small victories. You notice that yesterday you hesitated for 5 seconds, but today only for 2. You realize that last week you couldn't express an idea, but this week you managed to explain it. These small improvements keep you motivated, and motivation keeps you moving forward. In the end, hesitation is not your enemy. It is simply a stage in your journey. Everyone faces it, but not everyone overcomes it. The ones who do are the ones who stay consistent. They keep speaking every day, no matter how imperfect it sounds, no matter how nervous they feel. And through that consistency, hesitation is replaced with confidence, pauses are replaced with flow, and struggle is replaced with fluency. One of the most powerful truths you must realize is that your future self is being shaped by the actions you take today. Every choice you make, every habit you build, every effort you put in is writing the story of who you will become. Your future fluency in English is not a mystery. It is not luck. It is not something that will suddenly appear. It is the direct result of the small daily actions you commit to right now. If you practice speaking today, your future self will thank you. If you delay, if you wait, if you do nothing, your future self will carry the same hesitation, the same fear, the same silence you feel today. Think about this carefully. Who do you want to be 1 year from now? Do you want to be the person who still hesitates, who still avoids speaking, who still feels nervous in conversations? Or do you want to be the person who speaks confidently, who shares ideas clearly, who feels free in communication? That future version of you is not built overnight. It is built through daily actions, through the small but consistent choices you make each day. Your future self is watching what you do right now, and it will reflect the effort you either gave or refused to give. It's easy to dream about the future. Everyone dreams of speaking English fluently, of expressing themselves without fear, of opening doors to new opportunities. But dreaming alone changes nothing. Dreams only come alive when you support them with daily action. Without action, a dream remains just a picture in your mind. With action, it becomes your reality. Every time you practice speaking, even for a few minutes, you are taking a piece of your dream and turning it into truth. Daily actions may feel small, but their impact is enormous. Imagine you practice speaking English for just 15 minutes a day. It doesn't feel like much in the moment, but 15 minutes daily equals over 90 hours in a year. 90 hours of practice is the difference between a hesitant speaker and a fluent one. On the other hand, if you skip practice every day, telling yourself, "I'll start tomorrow," a year later you will look back and realize you are in the exact same place. The future doesn't just happen, it is built by your actions, one day at a time. Your habits are like investments. Each day you put effort into speaking is like depositing money into a savings account. At first, it looks small, but over time, those deposits grow, they multiply, they create wealth. In the same way, every small practice session adds up, creating fluency, confidence, and mastery. The earlier you start investing in yourself through daily action, the richer your future self will be in skills and opportunities. Sometimes people look at fluent speakers and think, they are lucky, they must be naturally talented. But the truth is, their fluency is the result of countless small actions. They chose to practice daily. They chose to speak when they were nervous. They chose to keep going when it was uncomfortable. They built their fluency brick by brick, day by day. What you admire in them is not luck, it is discipline. And you have the same chance to build the same discipline if you decide to act daily. Your future self is not separate from you. It is simply you, shaped by your choices. If you choose excuses today, your future self will inherit weakness. If you choose effort today, your future self will inherit strength. Think about how powerful that is. You are responsible for giving your future self either regret or pride. Each day you skip practice, you are handing regret to your future self. Each day you practice, even imperfectly, you are handing pride, confidence, and opportunity to your future self. This is why procrastination is so dangerous. When you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," you are stealing from your future. You are denying yourself the progress you could have made today. Tomorrow becomes next week becomes next month, and before you know it, years pass while your dream remains untouched. The only way to break this cycle is to act now, today, no matter how small that action may be. Your future self depends on your present courage. It's important to remember that the person you are becoming is more important than the mistakes you make along the way. Daily actions may not always feel successful. Some days you will stumble, some days you will feel frustrated, some days you will think you are not improving. But your future self does not care about one bad day. What matters is the overall pattern. If you keep showing up, keep practicing, keep building, your future self will carry the results of your consistency, not the failures of a single moment. Picture yourself standing in front of a mirror, but instead of seeing your reflection, you see your future self. That person is waiting for you to act. That person is shaped by what you decide to do right now. If you practice today, you are feeding strength to that reflection. If you delay today, you are starving it. The reflection grows either stronger or weaker based on your choices. And one day, when the future arrives, that reflection will no longer be imaginary. It will be you.